Human beings have this tendency to think in macro terms, which means is that every person has a big dream, every person has a big goal. Every person, according to his own perspective, according to his own perceptions, according to his own exposure, and according to the most precious ideal that he thinks is the best thing that he can achieve, he wants that thing. Every person wants the best for himself. So if you have a big dream and you think that you're special, you're not special, because every person who is walking on the face of the earth has big dreams. They have big goals. Everybody wants to achieve something which the other people cannot achieve, because that scarcity is going to give that particular goal or objective the value that they want in their life, because that value is going to give them the kind of social approval and the social validation that you're looking for. So at the end of the day, every person has big dreams. Every person has big goals. And just because you have a dream, if you think that you're a special person, you're fundamentally wrong. Because every person on this planet have big goals, have big dreams, and have big objectives. But the thing which is going to separate you and distinguish you from all those people who just have dreams is your ability to stay disciplined, have a very strong, unwavering work ethic, which is going to keep you on track, and then your ability to persist when the going or all the situations in the external environment are becoming uncontrollable. How are you going to control yourself at that particular moment is going to decide how eligible are you for that dream that you have envisioned for yourself. So at the end of the day, when you have a big dream, you're going to get stuck. Because when you're focusing on the bigger picture, when you're just focusing on the end goal, when you're just focusing on the objective, your current reality is far, far away from the objective that you have set for yourself. And when your mind thinks that it cannot create those results quickly in the external environment, it starts freaking out. Your mind becomes messed up. You start feeling all that depression. You start feeling all that anxiety. You start feeling all those things which are actually self-deprecating and self-sabotaging behaviors, through which you get this idea that you're not capable of handling all those difficulties which are going to come your way while you will be pursuing that dream. So what happens is that at that particular moment, you start losing courage. You start losing your heart. And that's the time when you start losing a sense of competence that is required in order to move forward, to handle all those difficulties which are going to come your way inevitably. So when you're just thinking about that one picture, when you're just thinking about that end goal, you're going to get freaked out. And that's totally okay. Because at the end of the day, you are thinking about those things which are not directly under your control. And when you're just thinking about those things which are outside of your control, which are actually mainly and hugely influenced by the external circumstances, what's going to happen is that you're going to worry about those things that you cannot control, that you cannot change. And when you're feeling helpless and hopeless, your mind is going to feel depressed and it is going to feel anxious. So at that particular moment, what you need to understand is that instead of just falling in love with the destination, you will have to fall in love with the process. And that process is going to make you eligible for getting to that destination. Because at the end of the day, just imagine if we have to go from point A to point B, if we are just thinking about the point B and we are not moving towards it in proportion to the distance that we have, any kind of conveyance that we are using, if we can just walk over there, if we can just go on our motorbike, or if we have to go on through any vehicle like through a car or through a bus or through an aeroplane, when we have to go from one place to another, if we just keep thinking about visualizing that how is it going to feel when we are going to get there, what do you think is the probability that we are going to get there anytime sooner or later? You're not going to get there because you're not covering the distance, because you're not moving ahead, because you're not moving forward. How are you supposed to get from point A to point B when you're not even moving? And that paralysis, and when a person or a dreamer who's paralyzed into inaction and he doesn't know what to do. Most of the times he knows what to do, but he doesn't know that how to get all that mental courage, all that discipline, all that work ethic which is required to move forward. That's going to freak him out. So at the end of the day, what matters is that you don't just think about your destination and just keep thinking about it. You have to move forward. And in order to move forward, you need physical skills, you need mental skills, you need psychological stability and emotional resilience, because all of those things are going to ensure that you're going to get there. If any of these elements is missing, you're not going to get there. And when you're not going to get there, you will not be able to enjoy the fruits that you're envisioning for yourself. So at the end of the day, what matters the most is that you have to fall in love with the process. Now, there is a method to this madness. There is a method through which you can actually control the controllables, and you can fall in love with the process, and you can actually think about those things that you can control and just work on them, and then ignore everything which is outside of your control. And so in order to do that, you have to focus on the small steps that you're taking gradually in order to move from point A to point B. And so in order to understand how these things work and how are you going to ensure that you reach your destination, and you don't just keep visualizing about those things, you will have to ensure that how are you going to get there. And how are you going to get there means that you will have to dictate each and every step that you're going to take in the process of achieving that goal, of achieving that objective, or achieving that destiny. So in order to make this journey effective, and in order to create tangible results from this journey, the first step that you're going to take is that you must know what you're looking at. You must know what you're aiming at. You must know what is your objective, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you love the process. If you don't know where you are going, if you don't know what's your destiny, all that process is going to be meaningless, because it is going to create mental confusion. It is going to create a lot of depression and anxiety within you, because you don't know where you're headed. You don't know what you're aiming at, and you don't know what is the final result that you're looking for. So when the mind does not know what you're looking for, what's going to happen is that you're going to lose your ability to keep yourself motivated, dedicated, committed, and devoted to the process, because you have no idea when this journey is going to get finished. And there are only two conditions within which our mind actually becomes at ease with pain. Number one, when it knows that this pain is not going to last forever. And number two, when our mind becomes okay with the fact that this pain is not going to go away, so I'll have to live with it. And in both of these situations, there is a certainty, and that is that that pain is not going to bother you anymore. So you have to tell yourself, what is the ultimate objective that you're looking for? Through that, you actually give yourself and your mind the courage that no matter what happens, this pain is not going to last forever. It will go away, and there is no need to worry. All I have to do is to focus on the next step that I'm going to take. But for that, you must know the bigger picture. You must know the macro aspects of the goals that you're trying to achieve. And it is going to give you the standards and the parameters of the success. It is going to give you the parameter through which you can actually measure how much success have you accumulated within all the process that you have went through. Now, in the second step, you must know what is the smallest possible step that you can take. Once you know what your destiny is, if you just keep thinking about the destiny, it is going to create a lot of confusion within your mind. And that confusion is going to stop you from taking those actions which are important to be taken in order to move forward. So in order to ensure that such paralysis does not occur, you have to take the first smallest. It doesn't matter how big of a toll it is going to take on your ego. You have to take the first smallest step, because you're afraid of the uncertainty of the outcome. You're afraid of the uncertainty of the journey. You're afraid of the uncertainty of the terrain. You have no idea what is coming ahead. You have no idea what's going to happen to you. And you have no idea how to tackle the problems which are going to come your way, because you have never been on this terrain before. So what are you going to do? The first thing that you have to do is to take the first smallest step that you can take. And when you take that small step, what's going to happen is that it is going to create a very small gap within your fear and your mind, because that step is telling you that it is tangible. It is not something which is superficial. It is not something which is going to cause you harm. And you have taken that first step, and it has actually created a very small distance between you and your mind, between your mind and your fear. And if you just keep making those small changes, if you just keep committing those small actions of productivity every single time, when you become aware of the fact that your mind is trying to trick you into believing that you cannot do it, whenever your mind tells you that you will not be able to do it, take the smallest possible action that you can take in order to kill that fear. Just like if your mind is telling you that you cannot read right now, just sit and read one page at that particular moment. It doesn't matter how intensely your mind is telling you that that is a totally useless practice. Just try it. When your mind tells you that you cannot do it, do that particular thing in the smallest amount that you can think of. Now it's going to take a toll on your ego that you are moving with such a small pace and your competition is racing ahead. Nobody is your competition. At the end of the day, if you're not able to defeat the enemy that lies within you, the enemy outside that you're trying to kill, the enemy outside that you're trying to tackle, nothing is going to happen if you're not taking care of the enemy within. So the first step that you might take is to tell yourself, that's the smallest step that I can take in the face of fear, in the face of uncertainty, and in the face of all the depression and anxiety that I'm getting because of the uncertainty of the outcome and the uncertainty of the terrain. So when you know what's the step that you're going to take it and keep taking it. And it's not just like that you take that step when you feel that fear. Once you take that small step, keep taking those steps in a consistent way. Because consistency is something which is related to the habitual structure of our brain that we are going to discuss later. But when you are mentally aware that your mind is trying to manipulate you into thinking that you cannot achieve the thing that you're looking for, take those actions. And even when you're normalized and your brain is working perfectly, keep taking those actions. Even if you're feeling that limbic friction or psychological friction, that doesn't mean anything. Just keep taking those actions, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. Just keep taking those actions and keep widening that distance between your mind and your fear until a day comes that you realize that you're not afraid of that outcome anymore. You're not afraid of torturing yourself. You're not afraid of giving yourself the pain which is required in order to move forward. When that starts happening, that means that now you're gaining the kind of self-control that you're looking for. And the self-control is the prerequisite to becoming professional. Because professionalism only comes when you have repeated something for so many times that now it becomes a part of you, that now it becomes an expression of yours, that now it does not bother you anymore. Now you can do it even when you're sleeping. When you have created that kind of smoothness within the craft that you practice, that's what we call professionalism. And it only comes when you keep killing your fear and striking your fear with those small actions each and every single time when it rears its head. That's how you move forward. So when you are consistently taking those small actions which are actually helping you to move forward, the next thing that you're going to do is that habit of taking action is going to change the habitual structure in your mind. Now, what you need to understand is that we are creatures of habit. We operate on habits. From an evolutionary perspective, habits are the most important source to ensure predictability and security for ourselves, because that's the only way to create a familiar environment in which we can operate. Just imagine if you have to do even your normal tasks with a lot of variety every single day, how much panic, anxiety, and depression is it going to create within yourself? You keep your environment predictable so that you can live smoothly, so that you can live without any fear, so that you don't have to feel any kind of emotional turbulence as a result of that. So when that starts happening, what's going to happen is that ability to take action is going to become a habit of yours, and that habit is going to change the neural pathways within your brain, which means is that a portion of your brain is going is going to become dedicated just to the performance of that habit, which is the habit of performing under pressure. That is the most important skill that you're going to develop as a result of that. And once you have developed that skill, that means that you have gained the kind of self control that you're looking for in order to move forward. And once you have that self control, that means that now you have the discipline in order to achieve the things that you're looking for. And once you have that discipline is going to help you to build the kind of work ethic which is required in order to build those skills which are going to make you eligible to have that kind of destination that you have envisioned for yourself. And once these things start happening, once your body and your mind becomes aligned to help you and to cooperate you in order to achieve those goals that you're looking for, then be patient. Then don't get impatient with the outcome, but become impatient with the input that you're putting in. Because at the end of the day, what matters the most is that how much effort are you putting in. So once you start putting in that effort, just be patient. You have done your part of the job, and now let the nature do its part of the job. Because at the end of the day, what I told you was to control the controllables. Don't try to control those things that you cannot control. Don't run after those things which are not directly under your control, because you cannot change them. And when you start freaking out about those things which are not directly under your control, you're actually playing with your destiny. You're actually playing with your future. And what you need to understand is that the most scarce resources that a human being has are time and energy. Our time on this planet is limited, our days are numbered, and our energies are limited. So these are the two of the most important resources that we have to use with absolute care and precision. Don't waste them. Stay patient with the result and become impatient with the work that you're putting in. At the end of the day, that's the most important and the most inevitable way in order to get where you want to get in your life. Dream big, act small, and act consistently. Create that momentum, and that momentum will make that consistency a habit of yours. And once you have that habit, stay patient, because a day is going to come that you're going to get to where you want to go. Till the next time, peace.